this is FantasyEsque, and welcome back to the Sims 4 Vampire Amazon Royal Saga with the Salazar Coven. We are picking up with our newly joined physician, Lady Delphi Covenrose, as a teen. So she's the youngest serving lady that we have had this generation, although we have had instances like this in the past. But she is joining us at Trader's Rest, putting down the gravestone of Azura Valenka, the newest traitor to the Coven, alongside her Aunt Xiomara. Now, let's quickly go into what we saw in the mini-movie. It was kind of brief this time around, especially compared to, what we saw previously. But we started off on a scene with Princess Diana and Lady Catalea. I found this heartwarming and also slightly questionable in terms of what you're imparting to the next generation. But Catalea, she was approached by Princess Diana, who, after the birth of, Princess Ice and everything that's happened recently, she was getting very nervous, and she was saying, second mother, will my sisters stop loving me? Which I thought was such a sad question. But, she's noticing things, and she's thinking this, obviously, because she's half visitant. And Catalea said, I know your sisters don't like them, but no, my child, why would you think such a thing? Your sisters will always love you, ... because you look just like them, as will I. So let's, not speak of this again and never doubt your place among us. So obviously Princess Diana was very happy to hear that, and she said, truly, truly second mother, because she really likes Kyra and Juno, and she wants Kyra and Juno to really like her as well. Now, previously, guys, I had always, actually, before I go into that, with my feelings about this scenario, I found it very sweet that Catalea was reassuring Princess Diana. She's actually stepping up as a stepmother and doing some nice things, apart from seducing the queen and causing problems in the Coven. I was kind of impressed by her behavior. Also, this instance has kind of made Catalea and Diana get a bit closer, so now they are friends, and I found that interesting. In fact, it was Diana who wanted to approach Catalea, which is why that scene happened, and I figured, that's kind of curious, I suppose, with things that are going around, and the queen being her mother, and the queen breeding with these visitants. Obviously, she doesn't have a problem with them. Maybe Diana doesn't feel like her royal mother is someone she can talk to about these kind of things, so she went to her stepmother for it. But it's kind of nice. They have a bit of a bond going through that, and it's not out of something sinister. It's actually something pretty genuine. But the thing I found questionable is that Catalea reassured her by saying your sisters will always love you, not unconditionally, but because you look just like them. But of course, this is the Vampiric Empire, and it is the Vampiric Coven, and no one loves you unconditionally. There are always conditions to things here. And in this case, it's because she looks very similar to them. So, But I mean, I guess there are reasons why we adore people and reasons why we don't. This just happens to be one of them. But I thought that was pretty curious. And guys, what I was going to say beforehand, I've always imagined that Diana, just like Eve, has grown up feeling proud of her heritage and very assured in her identity, and not feeling the need to hide herself or, be accepted. But I'm starting to wonder whether, because the way she's fallen in with Kyra and Juno, I'm wondering whether her confidence in herself actually comes from the fact that she looks very much like the non-visitant princesses, and so she's accepted by them, and maybe that's the reason she feels quite stable, and she feels quite, happy with the way she is. Maybe it doesn't necessarily stem from her visitant heritage like it does for Eve. Maybe it's different for Diana. She kind of likes the way she looks a lot like Kyra and Juno, and I suppose her exposure to Kyra and Juno as, these legendary older sisters who grandmasters in their vampiric powers, and, you know, they're the first two who have a right to the throne. Maybe that's kind of amplified this feeling of being a non-visitant, or being, not non-visitant, but like being a Salazar. I feel like the two older princesses feel strongly about what a Salazar is. They encompass all that a Salazar is, especially because they're the combination of the Salazar and Ranarine lines, whereas they look at their visitant siblings with a bit of disdain, I feel. Even the princes, like, none of the princes are visitant. They're all non-visitant. So I thought that was kind of curious, and I was intrigued by the scene that took place, because it kind of made me think about all these things. And then, moving on from that, we had Delphi's arrival in court. So, you know, she was called in by the queen as the new replacement for the role of physician, you know, for Azora. And she presented herself in court, and the queen was saying, maybe it's time the Covenrose bloodline make a return. And Delphi, she made a promise in court. She said, I will redeem my bloodline, I promise. And that is her quote, I'm pretty sure, in the intro. I will change the way they think of my bloodline. So, I mean, Delphi, she has potential because she's got some things going for her in terms of her family history. I was just looking through her family tree, and so, like, in the beginning, we had the Alcandrica bloodline, which is, like, the original alchemist bloodline. At some point, our alchemists, I think in this generation, they started being called physicians. So, in case you guys are confused, there is some change in terminology happening. But, you know, originally they were brought in as alchemists, and this was the Alcandrica line. The Alcandrica line struggled greatly until, I think they had 3 generations, until the 3rd generation, who kind of served in relative peace, but she never had any children. That was Zora, of course, and I feel like a lot of us really liked Zora. She lived a very low-key existence. And then we had the 2nd bloodline ever to be brought in as an alchemist. That was the Covenroses. So with Lady Marigold Covenrose. Marigold, we all adored. She was loved by even the vampires, and she was actually the most accomplished alchemist of her time. So she had a lot of ambitions for her bloodline, and she kind of fulfilled a lot of it while she was alive. She actually paired up with one of the Alcandrica sons and had her children. So this girl here is actually, you know, a combination of the 2 bloodlines. She is, yes, the Covenrose, but, like, a Covenrose, but she is also linked by blood to the Alcandricas. Now, the Covenroses, I feel like after Marigold, like, she had twin daughters. I don't feel like any of her daughters, they didn't serve long. I think one of her twin daughters actually served as alchemist briefly when she was an elder. And then after she died, her twin sister's daughter kind of came into service. But I feel like the Covenroses after her have kind of, I don't know if being questionable is the right word, but they haven't really lived up to what Marigold was. I feel like her bloodline's been in decline ever since then. And with, you know, Mirabella, she served a very brief time, but with Mirabella's daughters, so Xiomara and Serana, I mean, they kind of stuffed up. They had huge potential. They stuffed up. And now it's up to Delphi to kind of fix what her mother and her aunt did. Now, I also have to say, in terms of appearance, she's Serana's daughter, mind you. She looks so much like Xiomara. Even when I was doing, like, the intro shot for her, she's standing in, like, the same place that Xiomara was standing for her intro shot, and she looks so much like Xiomara. I almost forgot she was Serana's daughter, but yeah, Xiomara is her aunt. In case you're wondering, that gravestone there at the back belongs to Xiomara. This one here belongs to Azora. Now, Serana, she is not at Trader's Rest. She actually went to the Soul Repository because she was not an immortal. So, you know, she went through the proper rites of a spellcaster. But Azora, just like Xiomara, she was an immortal spellcaster, so she kind of came to Trader's Rest, because I feel like Trader's Rest is like it's the graveyard for the vampiric traders, right? So that's how dear Delphi is doing, and hopefully she manages to redeem her bloodline. But let's take a look at her. So her theme is like light greens, which I think is quite nice, especially because she's got a lot of the like dark coloring going on with her hair and skin. Her eyes are red, of course. We know these genes. We haven't gotten to take a look at her since she's aged up, so that was quite exciting. But with Delphi, I can't remember what the Covenrose bloodline tattoo was, but she's got a new bloodline tattoo. She's got like the butterfly across her chest, and I just thought that was an interesting an interesting nudge to, you know, the rebirth of the Covenrose bloodline with her, hopefully, is what she's, you know, aiming for. Rebirth and redemption. So that's kind of, I feel like, with the butterfly maybe coming out of its cocoon would symbolize. So there we go. That's what we have with her. Let me actually, the lighting here ain't that good, not gonna lie. But let's see if we can take a good look at our lovely Delphi. But yeah, she looks so much like Xiomara, guys, doesn't she? She does. I love her hair, by the way. I do love her a lot. And I am excited to have her. Now, she, in terms of her traits, she is adventurous and she's clumsy. So, you know, she's only got 2 traits now as a teen. But with adventurous, I feel like this whole thing of her coming back in as a Covenrose, given what, you know, the family history was, I feel like she's open-minded enough not to hate the vampires for what happened. She is actually quite enthusiastic and excited to dive into this court and figure things out and, you know, help fix what her mother broke. She's not kind of discouraged by the situation she's in. So I feel like, or, you know, how maybe some of the other males view her brothers. We know Channing does not like Xander, so she's not scared by any of that. She's quite excited and open-minded and ready to jump in. But with her clumsy side, I feel like maybe sometimes she's a little bit in over her head, and she kind of fumbles around and maybe stuffs up what she's not supposed to. And I'm hoping that makes her endearing to the others, because she's not calculative and she's not going out of her way to screw things up or, you know, make problems occur. She's trying to fix them. She might not always succeed, but I feel like that makes her very human, which I suppose is not something the vampires like, but, you know, I'm hoping. I'm hoping against hope here. So that's what we have for Delphi. I've already told you her traits. Now, a few things have been evolving and changing across the Queen's reign. So the Queen, with, you know, Delphi's arrival, she expects the spellcasters to have been educated while they are at, like, growing up at the Glimmerbrook Embassy. She expects them to be educated by the time they come to the castle. So Delphi has been working really hard to make sure that she is able to serve the Queen with all of her spells and talents and potions as physician. So she actually knows, hold on a second, she knows all the potions, and she also knows all of the magical spells that may or may not be used. But, you know, for whatever the Queen requires of her, she is educated. So previously, the Queens were okay with members coming in and then having to learn slowly, but things have changed now. They expect the spellcasters who are serving at this point to know what they're doing. So Delphi, you know, she's come prepared. So we were just here at Trader's Rest, putting Azura Valenka's gravestone over here. Now, it's a shame that Azura is here because her mother is at the Soul Repository, but hey, it is what it is. But we are going to take Azura, I'm going to have to get used to Delphi's name. We're going to have to take Delphi back to the castle. I am quite curious to see how she may or may not gel with Eve, because we know Delphi, like, her birth was only possible because Eve's father was killed as a sacrifice in devil magic to make sure that Delphi was born. So it would be very curious if they became best buds. And you know what? I feel like this is a fact I kept forgetting beforehand, because I feel like in the episodes leading up to this, I kept wondering if Eve would get close to Delphi because they look kind of similar, but I kept forgetting the fact that, you know, Delphi's very birth is probably an offense to Eve. And now they have no choice but to live in the same castle together, so... I mean, look, she's got a closer relationship with Estelle than she does with Delphi, because Estelle is, you know, descended from the Visitants, and she's probably more agreeable to Eve, whereas Delphi's kind of someone she's forced to be in contact with, but she probably doesn't really like. And I think Delphi, like, her only really friend is George. So Lord George, her brother, is the only close friend that she has, apart from her father and deceased mother. Yeah, George is the only brother that she's actually close to, which is funny, because George is the brother whose father started this whole devil magic thing. So before George, there was Chance, and Chance was born outside of the whole devil magic thing, and, you know, he's half visitant. And then before that, so he was the nephew of Azora, but before that, there was Xander. And Xander and Chance's birth had nothing to do with devil magic. It was George and Delphi. So actually, I find it pretty intriguing that out of all her siblings, these are the two ones that are close to one another. But okay, let's take it back to the castle, and then we'll kind of see how everyone's doing. We are back at the castle. The youngsters have gone to academy, so, you know, they are busy doing their studies. We are left with the old ladies. Now, the queen has decided recently that she doesn't want to focus so much on the mentorship days and the training days and the royal studies. She's kind of taken them out of the, you know, royal calendar. And she has decided that, you know, the focus really should be on the Day of the Goddess. So all of the other stuff, that is kind of left up to the Sims themselves, in terms of, like, keeping your fitness up, making sure you get your, you know, vampiric training done, and for the princesses especially, making sure that you get ready for the throne, or, you know, get ready to receive the throne potentially, or win the throne. That's left to their own devices. She's going to focus, you know, mainly on the princesses getting that done. And then obviously the Day of the Goddess, because given everything people have been through, she feels like it's important to have the goddess's favor. So we do have some space in the calendar. We've got some kind of empty days to let things iron themselves out. But okay, let's go ahead and see some of the whims that our characters are having, and potentially how they might feel about the various things, or various people we have in the coven, because we did recently get 2 new members, so I feel like that's kind of interesting, to see how maybe people feel about each other, how they'll gel within the coven. Catalea is hanging out with Lady Lucille and Lady Lexi. This is interesting. I wonder what they're talking about. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see the dynamics of these guys. Lady Lexi, we know, she's kind of been dealt with by Catalea. She's like Catalea's friend at this point. But she's also now chatting with Lucille, who we kind of thought was a wild card. Now, Lucille wants to chat with Princess Eve, so she's kind of very interested in Princess Eve. As, you know, the half visitant princess. We still don't know how she feels about all of that. I feel like this would be telling, because we know the court is kind of split at this point between the visitants and the non-visitants. So she has that going on. She'll have to wait until Eve is back, so we can't really work on that just yet. Lexi, on the other hand, she wants to stargaze with Catalea. I'm going to just undo this because that's not something we might be able to do. But hey, she's become really friendly with Catalea. Juno wants to chat with Mother Dearest. You know what? I see Guinevere and Juno spending some time together. When the whole secret council thing happened, and Kyra was a little bit alarmed by everything, you know, Guinevere jumped in and said, now's not the time to be weak, it's not how I trained you. I almost wonder if Guinevere for the first time would have felt a bit disappointed in Kyra, But here comes Kyra as I say that. Oh no, she's going off somewhere else. I wonder if she might have felt a bit of disappointment and, you know, for the first time, Juno actually impressed her more than... Wait, what? Prince Rusty has passed away? Excuse me? Anyways, as I was going on about this, do you guys remember how, you know, we think everything's been dealt with because Azora's been dealt with, but actually there were two people going around killing? It was Azora who did most of the killing, but there was also Chance, and Elaine didn't tell anyone else about Chance, and we said, I wonder what she's going to use him for, but she's keeping him around for something. I feel like Chance has struck again, and this time it's Rusty. Oh my goodness. I wonder if Elaine... I mean, obviously she can't, like, this thing, he is a wild card. She can use him, but she can't plan who he's gonna kill because he doesn't knowingly or directly kill anyone. It kind of just happens, right? Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, everyone's getting notified that Rusty has passed on. Oh my goodness. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. Well, I wonder how that's going to be explained. I feel like they are going to consider it maybe a freak accident because as far as they're aware, the person who's causing the issue has been dealt with. So for them, it must be... Oh, that's such a shame. Such a shame. A prince, guys. A prince died. This is, oh my goodness. Elaine, this is what happens when you don't deal with the problem. This is what happens. Elaine did it. Well, you know, she didn't do it, but she didn't tell them about Chance, and I feel like Chance, his powers kind of, they erupted again. Oh my goodness. Well, it is one death. She could explain it away by saying that it's a freak accident. But let's hope more deaths don't happen, because if more deaths happen, I really don't know how she's going to try to convince everyone that, actually, no guys, don't worry about it. I told you everything. There was nothing I hid. I didn't hide anything else. This is all just a coincidence. Yeah, she's gonna have a hard time explaining that to people. They're gonna start asking if, you know, they're gonna start investigating what she investigated if she's not careful. So, oh goodness. Goodness. But yeah, that aside, I was gonna say, I'm wondering if, Guinevere was kind of impressed that Juno was the one who carried that whole situation, or she initiated the secret council, because that's something she would expect of Kyra. That's something she's been preparing Kyra for, but Juno kind of stepped up her game. So that's interesting. But she wants to go talk with Eden. She wants to go talk with her mother. So let's go ahead and talk to Eden. Especially after you guys just received word that your brother Rusty has died. And in terms of family relationships, she was actually quite close. What am I saying? Close to Rusty, I feel. She was kind of close. Oh, was that Kyra? Who was really close to Rusty? Was it Kyra? Well, we can't exactly see from Rusty's point of view. She was. Juno was closer to Rusty, I think, out of all the sisters. So yeah, she would want to go talk to the queen right now. I mean, he is her firstborn. He's the first prince. Oh wow, that means Daryl's the only prince left, guys. Daryl is the only prince left. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I wonder if that would make him more appealing to Eve, because he is, like, now the only prince left. It's twisted, but, you know, a lot of these characters are. They are twisted. Okay, we have a sentiment between them, which is kind of nice. Yeah, some friendly advice. Oh my goodness. Okay. But wait, did Rusty die? Hold on a second. Was he on the lot anywhere when he died? Was he on... Oh my goodness, he died in front of the... No way, he died in front of the flipping castle. Like right here. Also, what are you guys doing out here? Can you... I don't want you guys to die as well. Hold on a second. We don't even have, like, the groups going. So why are they hanging out here? Like, go home. Can you guys go home? Can we send them home? Because they are worrying me now. Can you guys not go home? Wasn't there an option to send them away? Like, send them home? Like, what's going on? I don't know what's happening. Guys, do you want to go back, maybe? No? I don't know how to send them home. No? We can't tell you to go? Hold on a second. Can I not send them back home? I don't know how to send them back home. I'm not entirely sure, guys. They should be, like, off on their way. Ah, this means there's another change over here. There is a change here. Because every time someone passes away, there has to be, like, a readjustment. That means Chance, he now has to join Kyra's companions. So we have to, like, bump him out of here. Can we do this while she's at Academy? Yes, we can. Chance has to now be bumped up to Kyra's group. I don't know how happy Kyra's gonna be about that, because, you know, she doesn't like... He's the two things she absolutely despises. He is a visitant, and he is from the Covenrose line. And we know she doesn't like those people. Okay, well, I'll have to add him in at some point. He has to join. Ah, darn it. Guys, go home, please. This is concerning me. You're on fire. Please go home. Okay, can I... Like, why are they stuck? Why are you guys stuck here? Is this some new spell I am not aware of? Like, why are you stuck? Can you go home? Ah, I need to... Well, first I flippin' need to get Rusty's grave and add it to our graveyard that is ever growing, but why are these guys acting this way? Can they go home already? They shouldn't be stuck here. I'm gonna try and figure this out, guys, and then we'll be back because I'm really concerned. I am so done right now, guys. I am so done. So flippin' done. Because I could not find a way to send these boys back home. I could not. I instead decided, let's just have a gathering and call them inside the flippin' castle because they won't go home and I don't want them to stand outside. They're better off just staying here and being indoors. Well, guess what? Apparently, I wasn't fast enough because Griffin is now on fire and Griffin is dying just like his brother Sage died, which I'm not happy with. I can see Ari flaring up in the background. Channing hasn't even moved an inch. Like, what is going to happen to the male population of our vampires? They're all dying. This is literally a massacre. This episode has been a massacre. Oh, great, look, now who's dying? Well, Ari's joined the crowd. They're both just... Oh, my goodness. Elaine, I blame everything on Elaine. This is why you don't mess around with powers you don't understand. Channing, are you going to erupt into flames too? Because I don't have a lot of hope that you're going to live. Especially when you were hanging out with these two and they just died. Oh my goodness. I'm feeling very violent right now. Oh my goodness. I know Elaine is the fate. Oh look, Channing? Daryl, don't you dare. Daryl, don't you dare. Please stay safe. Please stay safe. Now is not the time to be mourning. Channing's also dying, isn't he? Well, Channing, let's just join the crowd. Let's just join the flippin' crowd. Daryl, can you go inside, Daryl? Like, really? You don't need to be here mourning them. You don't. Chance is not an immortal, so he doesn't have to worry about this. Anyone else wants to drop dead at the same time? Anyone else? Griffin? You know, you were giving me hope to exist, to live on, to remain, because, like I said before, Sage was the love of my life in this gen, and after he died, I mean, you being his twin, obviously. Thank you, Daryl, for having some flippin' common sense and going inside. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you. The one I didn't think that highly of is actually the most sensible one, because he actually did what he was supposed to do, and he didn't risk his life. Guys, this episode has been an absolute massacre. We just had 4 of our males die in one go. 4 of our males. And you know what else? Channing was here for the death of like 3 of them, even though I'm pretty sure he caused all of their deaths. Ah, goodness. We thought Azora was bad. Channing full on went massacre mode. Oh, goodness. Well, look at this. Well, she can't be with Channing now, can she? Because he was flippin' killed. This is not what I raised these boys for. This is not what the boys were raised for. Can you guys think of the amount of time their mothers have spent carrying them, delivering them, raising them to this age so that we could enjoy them in future generations, only to have them die here and now? This is not what I entered this episode for. I thought we were going to focus on Delphi. Apparently not. Okay, well, I don't even know what to think of right now. Like, I don't even know. I'm just so upset. I can't even. There is no way to process what just happened. There is no way to process this. I find it very hard to believe how everyone is just going to be okay with letting things go. I feel like everyone, especially on the Secret Council, I mean, the Queen never does anything sensible. But at this point, oh, there goes Griffin. I feel like at this point, everyone in the Secret Council, so that's, well, essentially just Juno, Kyra, and Guinevere, I feel like they are going to suddenly become suspicious that Elaine did not tell them everything. Because if Azora really was the sole problem, it should have been dealt with. So I think they're going to become suspicious that not everything was shared with them. And they're going to confront her. They're going to want to know what's going on. Everyone else is pretty much in the dark, but I think these guys... I feel bad for Diana, because I think she and Griffin were kind of starting to have some... Like, she had a bit of a crush on her cousin Griffin. But he's obviously gone, so nothing can happen with that. Kyra just lost the love of her life. Everyone's been losing the love of their lives. First it was the Queen, then it was... No, first it was Juno, then the Queen, then Guinevere, now Kyra. So, yeah, the whole family was hit hard. This is just ridiculous. Who's even surviving at this point? Who is even alive at this point? Like, we just lost all our sons. So Channing is gonna be processed by the Grim Reaper soon enough. We only have Daryl, and I'm talking about the vampiric boys. We have Daryl, and then we literally have Jacob and Nixon. Those are the only boys that are surviving. That's ridiculous. I'm gonna have to do a count of how many children we lost. Because we had a total of like 21. These are so many graves for us to add. Our graveyard is going to be huge. Okay. Wells. Let's get the Queen to grab all of these urns. They are all going to go in our graveyard here. But this is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. And I'm gonna have to like update the companion groups and shift people around, because these companion groups, they're kind of decided, I feel like, by the queen mainly, or the older generation. They keep the kids that are close in age kind of together. So yeah, I'm gonna have to adjust this, and then I'll jump back in once the gravestones are all set up. The graveyard has been extended. Poor Princess Diana is just she's just delving through all of these gravestones, all the grasses that have overgrown the bodies of her deceased kin. This is depressing. But I have to say, I found it extremely, extremely funny. A few episodes back, quite a few for you guys, someone commented saying, oh, this season is the most dramatic, but we haven't had that many deaths so far. And I couldn't say anything because I thought to myself, they still have 10 episodes to go before they're up to date with where I am. But does this look like not a lot of deaths to you? And mind you, these are only the gravestones of loyal vampires that have died. Loyal vampires. We still have a bunch of other people that were sent off to Trader's Rest, or whose ashes were sent to the soul repository. But we have probably had the most deaths of people that matter in this generation compared to any other generation that we have had. So yes, it has been crazy. We started off with just the one. Who's trying to get into contact with you? What? What? No. But yeah, we started off with just the one gravestone with Meredith, and that has slowly grown and grown and grown until we've got like 9 gravestones back here. There is a morbid beauty to it, but still, it is heartbreaking. Now, along with just all of this, like everything that's happened, it makes me upset. It really does. It really does. It is quite sad. It is quite sad. Unexpected, no doubt. But I feel like this instance, this whole situation is going to be known as the Sunlight Massacre for all of the vampiresses here. And I wonder if Elaine has finally dug a hole too deep for herself, because she was going to do something with Chance. She had plans, and I don't think she realized how unstable his powers were. And I think it's good that Azora was dealt with as quickly as she was, because imagine what she could do if she did something like this. Like, she might have one day just accidentally massacred the whole coven. That would have been problematic. Unfortunately, all the sons were the victim. Right now, Elaine is the only one who knows it's Chance. The others don't, but they're definitely going to investigate. There is no way they are not going to investigate what's happening. One person's death is coincidence enough. And then 3 others dying, a total of 4 in one day, in one span of time, that is no coincidence. So I think they're definitely going to want to investigate matters, especially, the Secret Council. They know that Elaine's hiding something from them, because she probably doesn't seem all that surprised by this, or at least they're not going to believe her, even if she says she is, because if she knew about Azora, there's no way she didn't know about, the potential for something like this to happen. And I feel like with Juno and Elaine, I definitely think they were on the same side up until the deaths happened, like at the beginning of this episode. But I feel like Juno, even though she's emotionally weak, she's not stupid, right? She has known that Elaine has certain tendencies and habits, and really the alliance they had was one of, like, it was an alliance of having a common enemy, right? They were working together because their partnership was mutually beneficial, and it was helping to protect the coven. But Juno, in no plane of existence, is going to believe that Elaine is doing something out of the goodness of her heart, or that Elaine is really looking for her best interests. Juno doesn't believe that for a second. The only thing what is happening here? What is happening here? The only thing Juno really believes is that she and Elaine share a common enemy, and that common enemy might... Look at this. Look at this. I'm so confused. They would... I'm going off about something else, but something else is happening here. Juno was being a bit flirty with Lucille. she reciprocated, and then she started, like, really insulting Juno, going on this barrage of crazy behavior, which Lucille, that's a princess. I know she doesn't care about these kind of things, but, like, that is a princess. Like, what is going through your mind right now, woman? So yeah, stuff is happening. Juno doesn't believe any of that nonsense. So I think she, along with Guinevere, and then Kyra is probably going to tag along, but I feel like Guinevere and Juno are really the ones who are, leading this two-pronged attack on Elaine, but they're gonna confront her and try and see if she was hiding something from them, because they don't believe for a second she didn't know that there was potentially a loose end that wasn't dealt with. So that's something they're going to want to do. And then in terms of the groups, we have updated the groups. So now, within Kyra's companions, we've had quite the update. But Kyra's companions consist of Juno, Xander, Daryl, Chance, George, Delphi, and Jacob. So essentially, all of the Covenrose children are now in Kyra's companions. They're like her companions. And then we have Elaine's son Jacob, and then Prince Daryl. They're all in the same group together. I feel like Eve would be a bit annoyed that Daryl isn't in the same group as her. Like, he's been, given off or passed off through her older sisters. It's been that way for a bit, but I feel like she'd still be annoyed at that. And then I don't think she'd be happy that Chance was kind of given away. I mean, she chooses to overlook the Covenrose side of Chance because, Chance is visibly a visitant. I feel like Kyra is probably really annoyed with Chance, even if she accepts the other Covenroses at this point, especially Delphi. I feel like all the non-visitant characters, the anti-visitant characters, the traditionalists, they kind of like Delphi's inclusion in the court because, like I said before, her existence is a slap in the visitant's face. So they're kind of happy with that, but I don't think Kyra would be okay with Chance because, he's got those horns. He looks like the people she doesn't like. So I don't think she would be very happy with him. But we'll have to see how he fares in the group. And then Eve's group has been reduced to Estelle, Diana, Nixon. And likewise, I feel like Eve would actually... It was interesting that she had the Covenrose kids, because I feel like she wouldn't like the Covenrose kids. I don't think she'd be okay with them. Chance was the only Covenrose. And again, we're seeing, as time goes on, this split. It's quite clear which characters fall within which side of the story, but Eve, I feel like the only person she would have been okay with is Chance, because he's visibly a visitant. He was one of the few people, or first people, she kind of got to her side when she came here as a child. So there's that. And then she's always liked Estelle more than she's liked Delphi, because Estelle also has visitant blood in her, just like Eve. So there is that. I mean, Diana falls within her group, and so does Nixon. But we know Diana. Eve expects something else of Diana, but Diana's always leaned more towards her other sisters. And then within this group, now, apparently, because of the deaths, Bloom and Ice are going to be joining this group. So they're going to be a part of Eve's companions. And that is that. But okay, guys, I am going to wrap things up here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.